So I'm going to start recording a set of videos. Starting with this one, sort of a video diary. Talking with friends on a post of mine up on Facebook, it was mentioned about Simone Giertz. I think that's how she pronounces her last name. Wonderful gal. And she's got a great channel. You know, she's called herself the queen of the shitty robots, I think it is. And she does a lot of builds. She's been doing stuff with Adam Savage too, which is really great. And you know, she's been able to fly on the Vomit Comet, I think it is. And you know, I try to keep track with what's going on with her, but life being what life is, and especially of late, and my memory is crappy. But she's got Brian the brain tumor, and she's had a recurrence, and she's dealing with that and such. And I'm sitting here right now, Monday a week ago, I had surgery, second surgery since November 2016, to deal with a cancerous tumor, squamous cell carcinoma, on my left ear. And as I put this video together, I'm going to share some pictures. I'll warn you about the squeamy parts. You know, I look at them, I don't think much. Part of that's because I used to do EMT, paramedic type stuff. Part of it is, you know, it's me after the fact. And, you know, when you deal with something day after day after day, you know, one, things can sneak up on you. Two, you kind of get used to it. Now, you know, she calls her tumor Brian. And, you know, naming things, I mean, we name our cars, we name our pets, we name everything. You know, my daughter calls my car Centurion. She called her car Rory. You'll catch the Doctor Who references there. And why not? You know. And, you know, I've been joking with this that, you know, I'm going to be able to do Vincent Van Gogh cosplays. I love Tony Curran's in Doctor, by the way. And, you know, having had my first shower where I could actually wash my hair since last Monday, I mean, here it is, Thursday, a week plus Thursday. And, you know, Marshall mentioned Simone, and, you know, she's the one that took the Tesla and modded it to become a pickup. That's who we're talking about. I'll include a link to her channel here. But I'm there and I'm going, okay, why not? Well, I don't want to name the tumor Vincent. I'm Vincent. You know, call me Vincent. And, you know, joking about cosplays of, you know, I'm getting ready to go through radiation therapy. And what I'm going to be getting in terms of dosages, basically what I'm going to get every week would be a guaranteed death if it were a whole body exposure. And several times over. But, you know, they're targeting it down at very specific spots, and I guess they can even, you know, they target the depth and everything else. Really neat stuff, but, you know, what should I call it? You know, I've got PTSD from childhood cancer, and so, the past few months of, oh gee, yes indeed, it is a recurrence, whatnot, it freaked me out. Because I didn't know, the full parameters. It's one thing when it starts out up at the top and they've taken the top of your ears. I'll show when I dig up some photos and put this video together, or dig up some pictures and put the video together. But, I'm there and I'm going, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to take the whole ear? Has it actually spread because I didn't have insurance for a year plus? Lots of unknowns, and it's where things are dark that the brain ferrets sneak in and leave their little droppings and footprints in the droppings all over the place. But I figure I'm going to do a video documentary of sorts, capture videos of them. They're going to make I think they called it a bolus that's going to fit on the side of my head that in part helps deal with the radiation and help them deliver the radiation at the depth and everything. It apparently sounds like an active, kind of like a lens in a beam of sun. Gives them targeting points, things of that nature. But they're dealing with one type of radiation that'll end up, I guess, from what I understand, we're going to end up with secondary radiation, and I don't know if that's generated in the bolus or down in the skin or what. But they start off with photonic radiation in the form of X-rays, or I figure it's X-rays, and they ultimately go to electron radiation, which is beta radiation, which is ionizing, and they basically target the little cells and such, and they're going to be targeting some of my lymph nodes and whatnot. And God, it feels good to run a brush through my hair. But, what to call my tumor? I don't want to call it Vincent. Oh, gee, I was in the shower and I'm thinking what to call it. Well, it was on my ear, E. And it occurred to me, I'm going to call it Erik the Awful Ear Tumor. If you catch the reference there, good for you. For those who didn't, Erik the Awful was a song. I'll put a link up here someplace to it, if I can find it up on YouTube, so that you can listen to it. It's hilarious. And, it fits. It helps me laugh at it. Because if I don't laugh, I'm at the point where I know a lot more than I did back several months ago. Oh gee, I just noticed something else about myself. I'm high-functioning autistic. For those of you who are familiar with the moderate and low-functioning autism, this sort of thing. And it's a way of trying to relieve stress. And I'm sitting here watching myself and it hits me. I'm stimming. My preferred stims are things like cycling. The feet just going there 72 to 80 per minute. Right around the human heart rate. And when I was in a very abusive marriage, if I was sitting, and this is how I found out that I'm autistic, I would sit there, I'd not be able to talk, and I would start rocking back and forth. I couldn't do other movements, but I'd sit there and I'd rock back and forth. If my ex came upstairs and I was in my office, I would be there and start taking my chair back and forth, which is one that I also did as a kid. We had a swivel rocking chair, and I would be there, hop in the chair, and round and round and round. Mom and Dad got to the point where, oh gee, you know, we're kind of tired of him going round and round. You know, we don't want him knocking stuff over, which I didn't. I didn't knock into the wall, but I'd go round and round. And so Mom and Dad put a bolt up through the base. And there was a spot, took a 1/4-inch bolt, took the nut, screwed it on, and they thought they had solved the problem. Nope. About 2 weeks later, I'd been there hitting it back and forth, sheared it off, and round and round and round. And it became a, oh gee, you know, what are we going to do? We'll put the bolt back, we'll put a new bolt in. This happened more times than I can count. Mom and Dad finally gave up. And I would sit in the chair and I would swivel. And when my ex-wife came upstairs, I'm sitting in my office and I'd kick my leg back and forth between the sides of where I slid my chair and my legs under the desk. And what am I doing right now? But it's the being able to make fun of it that, you know, like a bully. You make fun of the bully loses its power. And they realize it. So I'm there and I'm going, okay, I'll name it something funny, and I'm going to document what's going to change. Now, as I'll go over as I put this video together, I've got the actual CT scans. I can actually sit there, and it's really neat to go through. Another thing that, you know, the geek in me goes giggle. But I'll show you the spots that were concerns, and I'll actually show you some pictures, not only photographic pictures like you'd see, but you'll get to see Erik in the CT scan as I put this together over the next couple of days. But yeah, it's great to finally have having had a shower without taking a 2-gallon Ziploc bag and putting over my head like this. I'll share a picture of it here in a bit in the video that gets produced, and I'll let you laugh at me like folks laughed at Howie Mandel, who did it with a glove after finding a great gag when he was acting as one of the characters on a TV show called St. Elsewhere. I date myself there because I actually remember watching it. But yeah, I've actually been able to take a shower, wash my hair, wash up in here with something other than a wash rag, because my doctor, Dr. Fetter, gave me the go-ahead to get things wet up here, whereas when I left the hospital, it was the don't get it wet. And, you know, it's a hassle, it's a pain, and underneath, you know, when the brain ferrets are allowed to roam and you don't have all the information, it's, to say spooky puts it mild for me. It downright is terrifying. But yeah, I've got something like Neosporin that I have to put on until it's fully healed. But yeah, today the Dr. Fetter said it's healing nice. The radiological oncologists, plural, said it looks like it's healing nice. And this is basically going to capture the next, 8-9 weeks. Over the holidays, it's basically healing up, and I've got a second CT scan scheduled on, it looks like it's going to be the 8th, and my second surgical follow-up is on the 9th. But on the 8th, they'll sit there, and they're going to have me in both machines and do a CT scan, and I think that also includes making the mold so that they can do the bolus. If that's, I think that's the term they used. But, you know, it's going to be an interesting journey. Thankfully, it's a journey back in the 80s, I was a radiological monitor. I was part of the county EMA. I was the radiological officer for one county where I went to university, and for another county where I moved for my first paying job. And, I understand, the terms are different. They've come up with newer units in the SI. I'm used to dealing with REM. I'm used to dealing with Curies and things like that. After Chernobyl, we heard those terms. With Fukushima, we were hearing sieverts. And, when it comes to oncological radiology, they even use it to a certain extent when they're just doing chest x-rays and such. They use a unit called Grays, which has to deal with the way the body absorbs the energy. And, I understand the terms, I understand what they're after and not after, because, literally we're out to kill the bad cancer cells among the good cells. I basically have a whole bunch of little terrorist cells inside me that, hopefully we've gotten them. Hopefully Erik was the extent of it. But, after Erik, we don't want little Erik to move around and go into a new neighborhood and, grow up like mine did. And, there's a chance there are some, mini Erik Juniors floating around in my system. And that's, given the size of what I had, there's, there are guidelines that say, we do have the chance to induce some cancer from the therapy, but at the size that we're talking about, the original tumor being and everything, the odds are that, small chance for inducing new tumor because of the treatment versus larger chance for a whole bunch of little mini Eriks being stuck up in. I'll go into more detail in the other videos, but I had a lymph node. I had a couple of spots in the lymph nodes that they were concerned about. I've got a incision where they opened me up to go after one. They may have undermined to get at some of the other areas. but lymph nodes are typical. There are other means. There was no nerve involvement, and that if there's nerve involvement, it gets even more problematic. And it's just they'd rather be, rather knock this to zero and leave a little bit than leave this for, who knows how many years down the line. I want to, a large part of me wants to make it to what Dad's age was. I'm already older than Mom ever was. That was this past May. But, here I am, December 19th of 2019, and, I'd kind of like to see 2049, 2050. And so, I'm going to, I talked to them, and they said, yeah, here's the deal, and, I'll go over some of the stuff with the CT scan and whatnot, but this is beginning. I'll actually post this as part 1 and do part 2 a little bit later, but this is the journey of Doug and Erik, and Erik has hopefully been evicted, and we're making sure that he didn't leave anything behind. So it's going to be a fun journey. Like I said, it's the things start in January after I heal up a bit more. They don't want to screw things up by doing treatment directly on top of where it's healing right now, because that's not a good thing. So they want to make sure that everything's healed up. They'll do CT scan, and then 5 days a week for what looks to be 6 weeks, I go over the mountain and I get a treatment, and I get a nice little, they're talking about having what amounts to a nasty sunburn on it and such, but they say there's going to be some side effects. I'm going to end up probably losing a lot of hair over in here. And if you can see, it's kind of thin up here anyway, so what difference does that make? Yeah, I'd like to have a lot more hair, a lot thicker and whatnot, and be able to braid it like my friend Malcolm does, but life hands you what it hands you, and at times you just have to pick yourself back up and continue going on. And that's the way it is with me and Erik. And I'm picking myself back up, dusting myself off, having people help me back up, and we get to move along, and hopefully I make it to 2049. New Year's, New Year's, December 31st, 2049, going into 2050. That's a goal. And hopefully I do things then a lot better than I'm going to be doing here this year. Last year was bad. This year, it's been picking up in one segment of my life. I'm hoping eventually the rest of my life falls together, because 2018 was the year of being unemployed. It ran into May, and I got a great job now. I got a great team. They're cheering me on with this, and my boss and my boss's boss and my boss's boss are all checking in on me, asking how the pain levels are and whatnot. And the next 8-9 weeks is going to be just more of the journey. But I'm looking at the time on this, and it's late. I guess it's 21:47, 9:47 here, and I've not yet had dinner. But I've been doing other things. I got up way too early this morning. My first appointment was at 8:30, and so I think I'll call this part 1, and part 2 we'll go into some more details. So I guess I'm going to wrap this up, get something to eat, and see about maybe distracting the brain, playing some games. So yeah, and gee, I kind of feel like Jake Sully, I think it was his name, the character's name from Avatar, sitting there, recording his video diary. I should get a little digital timer and put it up here in the corner, up in here someplace or over in this place. Have a little, need him, D, the date, the time, and go through that way. And I gotta find the stupid happy things. It's just like, oh fuck, I've got cancer. I'm losing my ear, or part of my ear. A couple years ago, I'm there and I'm talking with friends of mine in the TRMN, and came up with the idea. I'm missing the top of my ear. Oh gee, here I am. I'm a lieutenant leading a bunch of Marines on a boarding party, and the pirates decided to take a pop shot at me. Well, that story's kind of not working now. When as you can kind of see there, I don't know how well that'll show up, and it's not that's not icky. So I did it at a distance, among other things. But now it's just I have no ear, and I was there, and in order to relieve the stress, I'm there, and I'm going, well, I guess I can do a wonderful Vincent Van Gogh cosplay. I'll have to get the face covered a little bit, figure out what to do about the hair length, because I don't want to cut this. This goes back to 2008. And, yeah, give you an idea of how long it is. Let's see. Yeah. And I've got some where, okay, my hand and my arm's straight, and I'm still holding it. So you can get an idea of how long it is. And I don't want to cut this off for cosplay. I hope I don't lose much of it with the radiation, but I'd rather lose the hair, temporarily or whatnot, than to, as much as I want to be with folks that aren't here anymore, I may be mostly alone. I'm not going to end up with anybody if I die. So, that's one reason why I followed through and, after I got the insurance, got the appointments lined up, and just dealing with the bullshit of, oh gee, they say they can't get me into February, call the dermatologist back and tell them, and, I go in and, I know I've also got an appointment over here. I don't know what that's about. Oh, that's the appointment that was supposed to be in February. No, it got scheduled. I didn't know what it was, if it was just pre-testing before the pre-surgical consult in February or what. And no, I found out, I figured go to it anyways. It's just part of the process. Oh, that's the actual surgical consult that they said was going to be in February. Yippee. And, that was, well, let's see. Today's the 19th. I had surgery on the 9th. I had appointments Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I think it was, of December. And, that that was a busy week because I'm sitting there with the appointments, and yeah, I'll also mention something here, but I had the appointment on December 2nd with my dermatologist, with the head and neck, the ENT surgeon on the 3rd, and the 4th was CT scan and EKG, and surgery on the 9th, and observation about things with insurance. Just the OR pre-op, surgery, post-op, just the hospital charge was $25,757.69. And that's still submitted to the insurance company. Thank goodness I've got a $1,500 personal policy and an insurance policy through my employer that is $1,500 deductible. So, my co-pays have been $70-ish, but today with my appointments, my 2 appointments with the with Dr. Fetter and the head and neck, or the radiological oncologist, no copay. And so I'm not dealing with $70 copays there, thankfully. It might be that the insurance company comes back and says I do, but at this point I'm kind of doubting it because I've hit my deductible. So, but yeah, just one charge. I think all told, last time I added it up, it was over $31,000 for what started out. And I'll see if I've got a picture of baby Erik. Baby Erik started out as what I thought was a mosquito bite that wouldn't heal because, oh gee, it's on the top of my ear, my hair gets caught in it, and then when I get my hair out of it, it tears off the scab. My daughter and my second ex fussed at me, told me I should go in. I did, finally. Yes, Cassandra. Not my daughter's actual name, but busy and oh gee, trying to get everything else taken care of, crappy insurance, and so it's just it's just this mosquito bite. It's not healing up. But 20/20 hindsight, you find out that what you think is nothing is a big deal. Turns into a big ass nasty MF of a Viking that's in your face and threatening to, it did cut my ear off, essentially, and you can't really cut off the head. And looking back, 20/20 hindsight. But yeah, I'll see if I can also dig up some pictures of baby Erik, because I've probably got them. If I might have them in the initial biopsy lab report type stuff as well. But initially, just like a mosquito bite, but it didn't heal. So yeah, at the end of this first part of the intro, lessons. I used to not sunburn, and then I got sunburns, but they're not bad. my sunburns would be looking, clam, lobster red, and the next morning you couldn't even tell it. And, the two morals, that mosquito bite, I should have gone in sooner. And, the other moral that I can share is if you're there and if you're asking yourself if you need to apply more sunblock, the answer is always yes. There is no no. And, if you're out and, put on a hat, get something to go down over your head and shoulders and whatnot, and, even your arms. And, I know it's still a fad to do tanning beds. To me, tans have never been a healthy thing. And, this just, this emphasizes it. I mean, I wouldn't peel, I wouldn't anything, I'd just be red, and the next morning, nothing. So, even then, a suntan is your body saying, ouch, don't do this. And so if you say, do I need to put on more sunblock, go for the really good stuff. Don't skimp. Don't go for, I'll do SPF 15 or SPF 10, SPF 15. I don't burn. No. Put look like Elizabeth I. Paint with the zinc oxide painted on, so that if it were blue, you'd look like a blue man. Member of the Blue Man Group. Don't mess. But, here I am. I'm now at 35 minutes, and I'm going to wrap this, and I'll go ahead and post this up, and, I'll add the links later. If I haven't added the links yet, I'll add the links later, but, or put them down below, and, I'll be adding links and such over the next few days, but, I'll follow it up with a part 2, this is Erik, and, so, I'm going to get some food and kill some monsters and whatnot, and get the mind decompressed a little bit, but, yeah, watch for some videos here in the next couple of days. So, take care, folks.